I am going to share with you what I have as evidence of God and the purpose of life. We'll go through 4 steps. Step 1, the rational evidence I have to realize that there has to be a designer, intelligence behind the universe, the earth, and ourselves. When I see a beautiful hotel or a beautiful house, the thoughts that flash my mind are, say, from outside, it blends well with nature. From inside, maybe the flow through pattern is good. Maybe the views from the room are good. And when I start to appreciate these things, then I think to myself, it's well designed. And a good designer or an architect has done it. I sometimes see amazing structures, amazing bridges, so awe inspiring, and think, wow, what a design. Who designed this? Well, someone designed it. Taking this thought process further, I see 3 points. 3 points. Point A, our earth is precisely designed and highly fine-tuned so we could live in. The earth's location is exactly at the right distance from the sun. Slightly closer, it would have been too hot and we would have burnt up. Slightly further, it would have been too cold to sustain life. The rotation round its axis and the rounded surface enables the surface to be cooled and warmed, amongst other functions we require. The moon at the right place creates ocean tides, so water does not stagnate but restrain from moving onto land. The Earth's size and gravity helps to hold layers of oxygen and nitrogen in the atmosphere. If the Earth was too small, an atmosphere is impossible. If it was too big, it would have contained too much hydrogen like other planets. Basically, it is a kind of mathematically precisely calculated, positioned, and set in motion. In fact, there are certain mathematical constants which are so precisely fine tuned to 1 into 10 to the power of minus 16 and so on, without which the world would not exist. A whisker of any of these constants, either way, would not allow us to be here today. For this precision at this scale, in my view, it is so designed and a grand intelligence has designed it. Point B, we need two basic elements to sustain human life: water and air. The earth, which is of confined space, a rounded confined globe, required to have water at a certain quality level and to be available for all humans over thousands of years without ceasing, without ending. Same with oxygen too. We required oxygen at a certain concentration in the air for thousands of years without change, even though we inhale oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. These elements out there to be available always, even though we keep using. We engineers design water purification systems and air purification plants. In the case of the earth, this requires a grand engineering marvel and a grand intelligence to do this. Let's look at them. Let's look at water. 90% of our water is stored in oceans, 3% rivers, in lakes, underground water sources, sorting the storage issue. The sun powers through heating the oceans. The water evaporates and is taken up. It's lifted up through another mechanism. It forms clouds. Winds originate and blows these clouds to land through another mechanism. And as they hit mountains, they turn into rainwater. Streams start up at the top of the mountains and flow down under gravity, supplying us the water. Water is purified through the evaporation and distillation process, and as it flows through the underground sources. The used water flows back to the ocean, and again the process is repeated day in and day out. A grand water purification, pumping, supply, and storage system for global water purification reuse. So we humans have an unending supply of water at a certain quality level. I see this as an engineering marvel. Let's look at the air purification system. Animals inhale oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. The plants take in the carbon dioxide and send out the oxygen, purifying the air and maintaining the balance. A continuous air purification system in place for us humans to have a continuous supply of air at a certain quality level. We have our home, then a system to sustain us. Another pointer to me of a grand, intelligent designer. Let's look at ourselves, point C, the mystery and marvel of ourselves, the human being. Taking it component by component or organ by organ, the brain controls information input, processes it, and then activates a reaction system. At the same time, keeps tracks of ongoing body systems. It simultaneously processes so much information, kind of a supercomputer. We know computers required designers, engineers. Why not for this supercomputer, the brain? Take the visible aspect of a body, the eye, auto-focusing mechanisms with lens adjustments, light adjustments, auto angle adjustments, color responses, self-cleansing mechanisms, and also to perform, say, in a rather continuous manner, maybe for 600,000 hours and more. Basically, far superior and better than a modern camera, a well-designed gizmo. The ear, another is gizmo to capture sound waves. The liver plays its part in removing toxins, the kidney, the heart, pumping blood, etc. All well-designed components. The moment we hear sound, we get the eye turning in that direction to visually observe. The brain coordinating the ear and the eye at such enormous speeds, adding another level of complexity. These well-designed components all work in unison to facilitate a system. It's certainly a grand, beautiful design. Should not it have a designer? Or do I reckon this is a chance story? A well-designed Earth at the right location from the sun and the moon, set in motion at right speeds, including finely tuned mathematical constants as our home, consisting of water storage, transport, delivery, and purification recycle mechanisms, as well as air purification and recycle systems, etc., among so many other things to sustain us. And then ourselves, a complex conglomerate of systems working in harmony. These indicate quite clearly to me of an infinite intelligence, a designer, an architect who designed and created this rather than a chance story, isn't it? Here is my phone. If I tell you no one or nothing bought it here, it popped up by chance, you will think I am nuts, isn't it? Or if I tell you I am not interested why it's here or its purpose, just let it be wherever it is, I will be oblivious to it. You may think, oh, what a shame, wasted opportunity. Yes, you are right. In reality, it is a beautifully designed piece of equipment, designed for a reason, for a specific purpose. It's a missed opportunity if I don't try understand it and make maximum use of the opportunity. Well, that's how I see it. So similarly, in the case of the universe, the earth and ourselves, I see it as exactly the same, designed by a grand intelligence for a specific purpose, and we need to try and observe and understand. Step two, taking it a little bit further, looking for further evidence, governing rules. Governing rules. When I see a nice city or an orderly office or a clean park or even just a nice clean playground, what thoughts cross my mind or your mind? It's very pleasant. I feel like being part of it. I would think it's well kept, it's well managed. These are some thoughts that would cross my mind. Well kept, well managed all mean that there is some order, that there are some rules here, some governing rules. For example, the park or the playgrounds are cleaned. Grass is watered and cut at a certain frequency. There are some rules in place. And yes, someone decided and put the rules in place for a particular purpose. Now, if we look at our world, is it a world where things had a start, a reference point to start off with? And then does it work within some rules? As of today, the scientifically accepted theory simply is that the universe started from, say, something very small, singularity, say, small as a mustard seed, that had a big explosion, the Big Bang. This is expected as of today as the start of space, time, and matter. So as it exploded and moved outwards, stars formed, planets formed, our galaxies formed, Earth formed, Moon formed, and as temperature lowered, water formed, then plants formed, animals formed, and finally the humans. And now you and I have formed. Accordingly, the universe and our world have a reference point as a start. So next, are there governing rules here or are there laws of nature? To my understanding, the earth was formed and is yet forming according to some underlying governing laws or rules. Let's take a few examples. Temperature dissipates according to some rules. We have equations to calculate this. Speed of light, speed of sound, they do not change. They operate according to some governing rules. Earth takes 24 hours to go around its axis, 365 days to go around the sun. Water behaves according to some rules. It flows according to some rules. It solidifies, becomes liquid, and then vapor according to some rules. Water freezes to become ice at 0 degrees. Fluid mechanics, thermodynamics are all about revealing the underlying rules or governing equations of fluids, energy, etc. We develop equations and forecast various things, including take the weather. We have understood some rules, some equations. We assume these equations don't change. We use them daily to forecast the weather. There are governing rules. We understand the behavior and properties of material, the rules behind phenomena, and hence assume it to be constant. They will not change with time, and we work with it. I can't find a reason for the universe to obey rules that don't change or to abide by rules of mathematics, physics, or chemistry. Today, we know even the human body operates to some laws. It's all coded. The code will give the color of our hair, the color or texture of our skin, for example, features of our face. We are now understanding that the DNA in a cell stores biological information and programs the human body like a program manual. I am made to understand that there is as much as 1.5 gigabytes of data stored in each cell in the human body. And the body consists of something like 40 trillion cells. A giga program manual. A program manual sets the rules under which things happen. A program manual is written by someone. What does this tell me? We ought to operate under some set rules, and that some intelligence has set the rules. It becomes more and more unacceptable as a chance story. Most scientists investigate, unearth, and identify the underlying governing rules of the universe. Once the rules, equations, chemistry, physics, mathematics behind it is known, we then assume that the underlying rules will stay constant and we can work with it. Scientists develop medicines, doctors prescribe medicines, assuming that the rules learned will apply. Scientists produce gadgets, launch spacecrafts, and so on, assuming the rules we operated on and work with will continue to be the same. Hence, it becomes clearer and clearer that there are underlying governing rules. We know of some, we don't know of many. Therefore, I am compelled to conclude that the world had a start. We could reference to, as per the current scientific theory, the Big Bang, and for its operation, there are underlying governing rules and regulations to go with it. A kind of a program manual, as we see from the theories and equations of physics, chemistry, maths, biology, etc. Look at the phone. If I were to touch this Google app icon, it will always connect me to the internet. There are some rules which are true today, tomorrow, and the day after. This phone had a start, and there is an operational manual. What if I were to tell you, oh no, this came by chance, and the program manual came by chance? What would you think again? Or worse, if I were to tell you, maybe this is some gadget, maybe there is some manual, but who cares? No impact on me. I will use it for what I want. Let's say, oh, I'll use it as a hammer. And then I start using it as a hammer. What would you think? I am sure you will think I am nuts or I am misusing it. I must understand what it is meant for, its purpose, and then use it accordingly. Am I right? I reckon it cannot get clearer that a designer designed and created the universe, the earth, our home, and all that is therein, including the human being, providing mechanisms for sustaining us, and that there are some governing rules to go with it, a complex program manual for its operation. We ought to try and understand and know the purpose and follow it. So now this leads to my next question. Okay, then why all this grand design, the universe, the earth, sustaining us and creating us? What is the purpose of this? What is it for me? So moving on, let's say I received a gift or you received a gift. What thoughts would come to my mind? I want to know what it is for a start. What could it be? What could it do? And its full purpose. Assuming again it was a smartphone. Well, I know that I could take calls, text, take photographs. It stores and plays music, sends emails. And what a thing, what a marvel. I might glorify it. I might even tell others about it. Further, I realize that each app, each button, each icon, each and every item is there for a specific purpose. And I want to know its full purpose. Now, often I don't understand the detailed purpose of various things, the icons, etc. For example, the phone. I realize it could navigate me, but then I don't know how to use it. So, similarly, while looking around, I understand certain things at a certain level. However, to fully understand, we need the designer or the producer to provide us with a user manual, digital or printed, so which explains to us the purpose of each item, how to use it, and so on. Today, any equipment we buy comes with a user manual produced and given to us by the designer, the producer. So, looking at the universe, the world, and ourselves, and all our creation, all overall creation, we want to know the purpose of creation and the purpose of our own lives. So, similarly to the case of the product, where it comes with an explanation and a user manual, here too we needed the designer to reveal himself and teach us the purpose and give us the user manual. If not, we would have to understand the purpose of ourselves by ourselves. That's a unique situation. That is like the product trying to understand the purpose of the product by itself. So, in human history, we have many philosophers, leaders, scientists, prophets who have attempted to provide answers to this question, the purpose of life. Some using philosophical arguments, some observing the environment and fellow humans and their situation, and some claiming self enlightenment or a higher mental status. The answers range from that there is no purpose in life to various ideologies as to the purpose of life being either to procreate or to rid oneself of pain and sorrow, etc., or to achieve some status after death. Now, while the no purpose in life theory is directly contrary to steps 1 and 2 of the purposeful grand design, The other ideologies mentioned also do not link to step 1 and 2 above, the purposeful grand design, nor do they provide a comprehensive, coherent answer or answers to how and why we came to be, as well as other aspects, such as why the code, why the program manual. They are deeply based on self proclamations. And in addition, they are self proclamation events at one point in time of human history. So, as mentioned before, this is a situation where the product, the human being, answering the question, what is the purpose of the human being or the purpose of the product? Let's look at an aspect of the designer, creator, revealing himself, telling us the purpose, and giving us the manual and unwinding through human history. So, reveal aspect A, previously mentioned steps 1 and 2, where we looked at the precision and the fine tuning of the universe, the systems that sustain us human beings, the governing rules, all reveals the infinite designer intelligence. Basically, designer's glory. The designer creator surrounding us with evidence to reveal himself. B, next, at different times in human history, the designer or the creator has kept communicating to us human beings, revealing himself, providing us a continuous, coherent revelation to us. There is documented historical writings and evidence of many persons. We hear of Abraham, Moses, Isaiah, to name a few, who claim to have had visions of God or being inspired by God and thereby revealed aspects of the designer, creator God, including that the designer will come amongst us to tell us and show us the purpose of life through his crucifixion and resurrection. And then, point C, the designer God in fact came amongst us, fully revealing himself, teaching us, and answering this question, the purpose of life. In human history, we know of only one empty tomb, only one risen from the dead, and then the risen one being amongst us. No one has really claimed to be the omnipotent God or one in God, the creator of the universe and us, except Jesus. So, through Jesus, we see the designer, the creator, coming amongst us, being with us, and we see the designer reaching out to humanity. Well, Jesus demonstrated attributes of God to love, to forgive, to give life to the death, to serve, and needing a relationship with us. Comparative to all revelations, the clearest picture of the designer, creator, God revealed, we see through Jesus Christ. And we have the question, the purpose of life answered in a coherent and complete manner. Next, the operational manual. Yes, that is provided too. The Bible. The Bible enables us to get an understanding of the story of the universe, planet Earth, and mankind. Why we are here, where to from here, and the purpose of life. So the designer, creator, God, continuous revelation over time, The designer coming down as Jesus being amongst us, showing us, teaching us, is neither one point event in human history, nor confined to a self proclamation, nor lacking in coherence or completeness. It is packed with historical evidence and scientific reasoning. I'm not going to further detail here as I want to keep this presentation as concise as possible, but to provide a reasonable, rational perspective for evidence of God and purpose of life. So, for the specific answer to the question, purpose of life, the first chapter of the Bible, Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him male and female." Now, images are made and kept to remember the original, to show the original, to reflect the original, and most of all, to glorify the original. Isaiah 6:3 from the Bible again, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." Psalms 19:1, "The heavens declare the glory of God." The universe is declaring the glory of God, and the reason we exist, as mentioned before, is to see it, be awed by it, and glorify God for it. So, through the Bible, continuously we hear from eternity to eternity, God created the world for His glory and for the purpose of our lives is to give glory to God. However, the tragedy of the universe is that while human beings were created to glorify God, we, including myself, have fallen short of this purpose and exchange the glory of immortal God for images of mortal man. Romans 1:23. So when we ought to be glorifying God, we glorify ourselves, the essence of sin. And therefore, the story unfolds further, comes the apex of God's display of his glory is the display of his grace, Jesus Christ on the cross dying for us. So Ephesians 1 5 to 6, God predestined us for adoption as sons and daughters through Jesus Christ, according to the purpose of his will, to praise of the glory of his grace. So, in other words, the world exists for his glory, for the glory of God's grace revealed in the saving words of Jesus. Hence, we are primarily made for God's glory, to glorify God and to be his reflection in the world. Moving on to step 4, how do we glorify God, the creator, the designer? Well, how do I glorify, say, our leaders or our parents? Very simply, we adore them, we worship them, uh, we have faith in what they say, we try to be like them and do what they intend us to do, and we continue to do their work. Again, similarly, we adopt the three same basic ways to glorify God, and as explained to us: worshipping, having faith, reflecting or trying to do His will, which is love, mercy, forgive, service. Characteristics as reflected by Jesus and as taught in the Bible. We glorify God by magnifying Him, that is, making Him more visible to others. Philippians 1:20, that Christ be magnified. To glorify God is to reveal God, that is basically revealing love, mercy, forgiveness, and service to those we encounter throughout the society. We humans, however, always need help and support to fully understand and to do what we ought to do to continuously glorify God. Kind of a 24/7 tech support. So anyway, God has provided this help and support to us by one, first revealing himself through creation and through time. Two, becoming man, living with us and teaching us, showing us the pathway, showering us with his love by being crucified on the cross and by conquering death through his resurrection. Three, instituting the church, the continuous technical support in addition to the user manual, constituted by our Lord Jesus, with St. Peter as the first pope, its apostolic succession, institutionally with the capability to teach, the authority to discern, interprets the manual we have been given, the Bible, continues to teach us and guide us. Its sacraments, symbols, signs keep reminding and directing us towards God. The litany of saints, our role models, together with its body, gives us the experience, supports us, and motivates us to glorify God. In conclusion, we are surrounded with pointers that give rise to an understanding of an infinite intelligence behind creation, a designer, a very finely tuned earth at the right location from sun and moon set in motion at the right speeds, consisting of water storage, transport, delivery, purification, and recycle mechanisms, as well as air purification and recycle systems to sustain life. And then human life too, a complex conglomerate of systems working in harmony, quite clearly pointing towards a designed creation. Number two, the designed universe had a start to reference to, as per the current scientific theory, the Big Bang, and for its operation, there are underlying governing rules and regulations to go with it, a kind of a program manual, designed and created for a specific purpose, as evident by mathematical, physical, and chemical principles behind space, time, and matter, including the human being with its DNA coding, indicating and providing that we humans have a well designed home with rules and regulations for its operation. Three, to enable us to know the purpose, the designer has revealed himself all through creation throughout time, through Jesus Christ, through his crucifixion and resurrection, and showed us, told us the purpose of life. Further, we have been given the user manual, the Bible, or the purpose manual. We are primarily created for the glory of God, to be his reflection in the world, and to glorify God. His teachings, the user purpose manual, the Bible, and the church instituted by God all enable, facilitate, and support us today to glorify God through love, mercy, forgiveness, and service. I bring this presentation to you as an engineer, scientist, academic, and a sinner, using my knowledge and experience, as well as other internet and knowledge sources, and invite you to rationally reflect on steps 1 to 4 with an open mind.